Hi, everybody. I'm back today for a second Instagram Live. I'm really excited because I am going to be interviewing somebody really awesome right now, and I thought this was going to be I thought this was going to be a podcast, but it turns out it's going to be an Instagram Live. So I'm thrilled. This is even better. I am going to be joined today by Maria Whitesell, who wrote an amazing memoir called You Can't Do It Alone. And just by way of bio, and then I'll invite her to join us, Maria Whitesell, I hope I pronounced that right, greets millions of Los Angeles viewers daily, each morning as Fox 11's meteorologist. The Whitesell family, including Maria, her late husband Sean, and his brother Patrick, are among big entertainment families in Hollywood. Sean was a writer and producer for television shows, including HBO's Oz, Fox's House, and AMC's The Killing. Maria herself has been on the air and praised by Danica McKellar, Dr. Oz, Lisa Gibbons, and so many more. This is kind of a random bio, but I'm jumping around here. And she has also been on shows as a meteorologist, including my kids' favorite show right now, which they are in the other room watching, Ryan's Mystery Playdate, not Playhouse. So anyway, let's talk to Maria. Her book is sad, amazing. It's called You Can't Do It Alone, A Widow's Journey Through Loss, Grief, and Life After. And it is inspiring, and she is amazing, and I cannot wait to talk to her. So here we go. And thanks for tuning in. My shirt seems to be falling off. Hi, how are you?
Hi, can you hear me okay? Hello.
Yes. Hi, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. I caught a little bit of the introduction. That is so awesome that they watch Ryan's play date. That's
Yes.
so fun.
I actually emailed your publicist as I was researching earlier today, and I was telling the kids, I was like, later today, the person I'm interviewing has been on the show, and they were like, we want to watch it. So I emailed and I was like, could you send me a link to the episode so they can, I was hoping they could watch while we did this, but they're watching another
Oh,
episode, so I'll find it.
yeah, I'll, it's so funny because we did it, or I did it last year, and I haven't even posted that. I should try to grab it and post it because that is such a fun segment that we did. And I brought my young son with us because he's a
Oh,
fan. He's 9, and I think Ryan just turned 9. So they were really close in age, and they got to say hello. So it was a really fun experience to go to Nickelodeon. It was
I
amazing.
bet.
Yeah.
I bet. That sounds amazing. They were telling me all about the mystery play date and how exciting it could be. And anyway, whatever. Sounds like a big hit. So,
It was fun. It was really fun to do.
and I saw you from afar. I'm sure you wouldn't remember. I've been on Good Day LA twice, and I feel like I saw you like through hair and makeup, and I was like, oh my gosh. But anyway,
Oh my gosh. Well, belated virtual hugs.
yeah.
I'm a hugger, and that's why this time is so hard. But okay, next time you come in, we'll have to plan it. So definitely
Yes,
we'll talk. Hopefully
I
we'll
will.
get back to normal soon.
Oh, that would be nice. I am so ready. I read your book, which was, oh my gosh. First of all, now I feel like like you and I have already had a 3-hour talk that you didn't know that we
Oh,
had, It was so good and so heartfelt and all the stuff you've been through. I'm so sorry for your loss.
thank
I
you.
really am. I know it was a while ago now, but I am sorry that you've had to go through this in your life. And anyway, I just wanted to start by saying that.
I really appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, 4 years now, but it really doesn't feel like it. Sometimes I'll wake up and think, was that really 4 years ago? It does feel like it was just 4 months ago sometimes.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. I loved how in your book you not only tell your story, but you give tips for anybody reading it. And not even from you, from your co-author, right? Who
Yeah,
yes.
Lauren Schneider. I was really, really lucky and fortunate to partner up with a licensed clinician who is also an educator and such an expert on grief and loss, and specifically as well with children. So my story was sort of the way in, and I think everyone can relate to my story to some degree. And Lauren just takes out the nuggets and the pockets and really expands it so that it can apply to many other people dealing with some sort of loss or grief. Doesn't necessarily have to be the exact same disease that my husband had gone through.
Would you feel comfortable telling sort of the story of what happened?
Oh,
the
yeah,
short
of
version?
course.
Or I know I feel bad asking you to, like, I mean, I know you
No,
must tell it
no.
a lot, but it must be upsetting to, I don't know.
To some degree, I did have a live, I think it was yesterday, and it does make me sad to some degree to talk about it, but it's more importantly really a way for me to heal my heart. And to talk about it has been really good for me. So I am embracing hopefully more of these lives and more of these chats so I can talk about not just our experience and also about the book, but mainly really to talk about our love story. And it really helps me to bring back those joyful memories that I have about my husband and my son's father. And I can tell you, I can go back to really quick how we had lived this amazing love story, and we got married late in life. Later, anyway, I had been through a divorce, and I was a single mom already when I met him. I had a 16-year-old son by that time. So I was kind of done with children. And I thought, you know what? I'm at the prime of my career and my life. So when I met Sean, it was kind of a surprise to meet this really perfect guy for me. He wasn't perfect by any means, but he was perfect for me. And we had just had our baby, and he was 3 years old at the time. And so we hadn't traveled much like any new mom and dad, right? So Gus is our son, and he was 3 years old at the time. And so we decided to go on this big trip to Paris. And we had never been to Paris, certainly not together in this really romantic trip. So we went on this trip together, and leading up to that trip, we really hadn't spent too much time with each other. We were kind of like passing ships, we worked all the time. And so a lot of the kind of strange behavior that he had been displaying, I could justify it because he was working hard and late. I was too. So when we were in this beautiful city of Paris, he was acting very strange. The symptoms were all there, not just forgetfulness, but just really strange behavior. He would want to sleep in. He didn't want to get up and run around the city like he normally would. He was the planner of our trips, and he didn't want to do that. He wanted to sleep in. And little things would confuse him, like even getting a cab. And he was the guy that lived in New York City for many years. So for him to be confused about the concept of trying to hail a cab was not right. So I made him promise to see a doctor when we got back home, and every day on that trip he got progressively worse. And so I was very, very concerned. And by the time we got back home and make the appointment, it was 2 weeks. And exactly 2 weeks from when we landed, we received the bad news that he had brain tumors, and he had had something called glioblastoma, which was a progressive disease, malignant cancer in the brain, which there was no cure for, and there is no cure for that. And so we had very limited time together, and we got in total 18 months, amazing months together before he died.
I'm so sorry. The great news is that I feel like you brought him to life through the telling of all of the stories about him. Not even like, I love how you include not just the good, but the annoying, or like how when you were dating at the beginning and you decided to split up for a little bit and he wasn't quite ready. And then it took reuniting at a, crowded
Bruce,
venue
it
for.
was Bruce Springsteen brought us together again.
That's
Yeah.
great. Because that is what life is like. Life isn't perfect, so you don't always have fireworks and things go according to plan. And obviously, things have not gone exactly the way from day one. And anyway, I'm
Oh,
sorry. I'm really
oh,
sorry.
thank
Um,
you.
how did you decide after going through this painful process to turn this into a book? Had you wanted to write a book? What was the impetus for turning this into a memoir?
Well, first of all, I've never written anything in my life. My husband would beg to differ. He was the writer in our family. His job was writing. He wrote for episodic television. So he was used to writing stories, not just from television, but he would write short stories and things like that. And I would always be the one running into his office and say, "Hey, here's an idea for a story." And he would listen to my crazy ideas and he would say, "Now go write it." And I
Oh,
said, no, I'm not the writer. He goes, yes, you are a writer. But I had never written anything. Even my job working as a meteorologist and anchor on Good Day LA here in Los Angeles at Fox, uh, I I don't read a prompter. I don't write things normally. I ad lib everything. So writing is not my first strong skill set. And so when Sean was diagnosed and we were asking our whys, if something really tragic happens to you, I'm sure you can relate. Like, why did this happen to us? Why? We didn't do anything wrong or bad. And so we had so many moments of asking why to God, and part of it had to be that I wore a microphone every day. Sean wrote every day. And so we thought, you know what, maybe we need to write this story because there is no cure for brain cancer. There's not very much information out there about glioblastoma. So maybe it is because of that we need to write about it, bring more awareness and bring more funding to find research. So that was kind of our goal at the time. Never really planning on him dying, not at all. We always held on to the hope that he would be part of that 5% that would live much longer than he did. And so, over time, after he died, I didn't really think about it too much until a couple of people brought it to my attention. And I went, oh, yeah, that was a promise I made to him and a promise I made to myself. And so, about a year and a half after he died, I picked it up, the idea, and I got on my computer and I started writing and remembering the things that we had gone through.
and what was that process like? Easy, hard,
Um,
a
it
lot?
was it was a lot. It was hard. It was cathartic. There were a lot of tears, and up until this point, it was everything. Even doing the audiobook for the book, I was in a studio, recording studio, and it was the first time that I had really read the book in its entirety out loud, and that was a totally different experience. And it was all those emotions coming back like it had just happened. And I was grateful for it because I felt even closer to Sean. And so I just look at that as a gift. There was pain, but there was so much joy as well. And we have our son. And so I have to look at that. I have to look at the gifts that I have because of it, you know?
And it was so moving in the book how you talked about how you can see, his face and Gus's face, and that as Gus is getting older, it brings you closer to Sean in a way as well. Just sort of
Absolutely.
a
Yeah.
happy, sad type of moment.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and the part of the book that not the only part, one of the parts that I felt like tied on the heartstrings the most is how you had to deal with yourself and deal with your child at the same time. Like you're already going through this enormous period of grief and loss. And yet, even that first night, even as it's happening, you're taking Gus into consideration. And of course you are, because you're a mom, and that's like what moms do, is think about the kids. But even just ushering, like when he actually dies and having to like not decide, should I tell Gus or should I wait till the morning? And then Gus being upset. It's just like, oh my gosh, it was just so
That was
emotional.
hard. That was really hard. I've got to say, telling or not telling Gus well, waking him up, at that moment was really difficult for me. And I made that decision sort of that night about not waking him up because Sean had died in the middle of the night. And Lauren Schneider, who also authored the clinical part of the book. I shouldn't say air quotes, but Lauren Schneider, who helps many children go through grief, there was a moment where we did discuss sort of this pain that Gus went through because he really did feel a lot of anger that I didn't wake him up to say goodbye to Daddy. But I reminded him that that night before he went to bed, he did say goodnight. He did say, I love you. And he said it many times before, but specifically that night. And so I apologized to him that I didn't make that decision for him at the time. But this is why it's so important to seek family therapy, because I didn't have the right words to say um, during that day that he happened to bring it up and ask me why I didn't wake him up. But I couldn't have done what I did. We couldn't have gone through what we've gone through and continue to go through today without our family counselor, our village, I like to say. But I'm I know that I couldn't have done it alone, and I think that's why we decided to title the book "You Can't Do It Alone." And you need to have a village. You need to find your people. And I know some people might be saying, well, you know what? I don't have family. I don't have a circle of friends like you did, Maria. And I say you're actually wrong, because of this, we have technology. We have the ability to actually find our village ourselves. And so I encourage you to do that, because it's really important for your heart, for you, and for the people who are helping you. Um, don't deprive them of helping you, because helping does heal and it feels good to help other people. So please invite that in your life.
I was really struck by how your in-laws and your family and just everybody rallied and how great that was. I mean, you're right, not everybody has that same support system in place, but it is possible to reach out and to go beyond your comfort zone to get what you need. And it's really, especially with a child or children involved, you need that. You just, it's like not an option.
Yeah, absolutely. You really need to seek it out. In fact, there was somebody who I met recently who had heard the audiobook, and he got something from my book, which was so great. It was such a compliment, because he said, you know what, Maria, my wife is disabled, and I guess he's had to be her caregiver for a number of years. And he said, I've always took pride in the fact that I could do this myself. Like, I didn't need help and I want to do this on my own. But he said, you're right. I need to go ask for some help sometimes. And I'm going to do that. I'm going to go do it. And I thought, wow, that's great. I'm so glad that at least, I've helped in some way. So that's my hope, is that the book can resonate and can help in some way, for you watching, or for other people.
Has Gus read your book?
No, not the whole book, but I read him some parts of the book, and he asked if he was in it. He goes, "Am I in it, Mom?"
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "Well, I couldn't tell this story without you, Gus. You're an integral part of this story, and I think, your experience is going to help other kids." And so I think he's looking forward to that, maybe talking about it himself. So he's 9, he's a little shy, but he's turning into a little bit of a ham bone. I've been working from home, doing the weather, and so he's kind of snuck into my broadcasts here
Oh,
and there.
nice.
So yeah, so he's getting a little bit of the bug, the lights and stuff. Yeah.
How, when you were going through this, you have such a public facing job, and you have to be on, and you have to look up and peppy and be energetic and like just be on. How do you do that when inside you're feeling so awful?
Oh, I know. I definitely have my moments, and I definitely have my days. And there are days when I don't want to smile, and I don't want to seem like the happiest person in the world, because inside I don't feel that way. But inevitably, I put on the smile, whether it's an artificial smile at first. I kind of force the smile, but at some point I get lost in my work, or I get lost in the day. So there's a way to compartmentalize your thoughts. And so I've been able to do that. And generally, when it's time for me to go to work, I do sort of put away that Maria, and I put on the Maria I'm at work mode. And I also look at it as an escape. It's kind of my excuse to not feel so sad and bad and depressed, if you know what I mean. So in a way, the work has been really good for me. It has allowed me to at least escape from some of the sadness that I can feel, quite a bit, actually. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful for my job, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to just not be in that place of sadness for a part of my day. Yeah. And I look at Gus. I look at him, inevitably I will laugh, because he is a funny kid. So I try to just balance it out.
And what is coming next for you now? Do you want to like take this on the road and be like a grief resource to people? Is that, or do you just want to get your story out and sort of move on, or write another book, or what are you
Oh my
thinking?
gosh. All of the above. I don't
Mhm.
know. I'm gonna just take it one day at a time. And that's sort of been my motto since all of this happened. I feel like I've been in crisis mode since
Mhm.
Sean was diagnosed back in 2014. And I've learned to just kind of retrain myself to not think too far ahead in the future and just think about today and just the real short term. I'm really proud of myself for finishing the book, actually, because it's been a few years in the making. And so I just want to just take that in and just enjoy the fact that I have finished it. And I would love to talk more about it. And I had plans to travel and go on this uh, concept of a book tour, which in my mind, it's kind of glamorous. But obviously, I've had to pivot from those plans. So we're thinking of different ways of getting the word out for the book because ultimately, I really want it to help not just families who have just been diagnosed with glioblastoma or brain cancer, but any debilitating disease or anyone who's just suffered a loss, going through some grief. I really hope that this book can provide some kind of encouragement to say you aren't alone. So that's my main focus when it comes to the book. I'd love to write another book. I mean, now I can say I've got one. I could try to sit down and do another. I always ask for help from Sean, the writer. I feel like he really wrote this book, a lot of it, because I would always call out his name and I talk to him out loud all the time. But maybe a movie. I don't know. I'm just putting it out there. I would love to see a movie um, made of the book in some way. I'd love to again get the word out about glioblastoma and the need for research and a cure for it.
Wow. Maybe there's some way you can partner. I mean, I feel like there's so many people who need what you wrote right in that moment. Like people need to know it. Like maybe there's some way to partner. You've probably thought about all this with hospitals or funeral homes even,
Oh,
or just ways to get the book right when people need it, right when they're grieving. It would be so powerful. Or grief groups. I mean, anyway, whatever. I'm sure you have marketing people on the case, but
on the case. Um, to as many people as I can. I mean, we can all relate to loss. I think everyone has gone through that in the world. So I'd like to get it into as many people's hands as I can. It's a short read. You talk about moms who don't have time to read. I purposely made it really short because I'm one of those people who I don't have much time. But you can get through this in a day. And I hope you get something out of it. And thank you so much for reading it. It
Oh,
means
of
so much to
course.
me.
It was
Means so
great.
much.
It felt like I was reading, like I was just like sitting talking to you, like I said, that you were just telling me the story. And I always feel so privileged when someone decides to become an author and share their story like that, and that I get to sit there and read and be a part of something so private in their lives that then I get to take that experience and it helps me. So anyway, thank you.
No, no, thank you. I'm a reader as well. I love books. And just a real quick sidebar story. Sean and I are both lovers of books, and he's a writer, like I said, but we got married in a library because that's how much we love
Oh,
books. Yeah,
that's so
yeah,
great. What kind of
love
books do
books.
you like? What are some of your favorite types of books to read if you can't think of any specifics?
Oh, well, I love all genres. I love horror, so I'm a big Stephen King fan. The first book that I ever fell in love with, well, I shouldn't say, but it was back Island of the Blue Dolphins. I was a little kid, but that was really where my love of reading started. Are you familiar with that book, Island of
No.
the Blue Dolphins? Then I got into V.C. Andrews, of course, and
Uh-huh.
all the, attic books. But the book that really changed my life was Leo Buscaglia, and he wrote a book called Living, Loving, and Learning, and that will forever be one of my top 10 books ever to read and reread. So if you haven't yet picked it up, uh, I encourage you to do it. He is the author of Love, and so this book could change your life. I don't know, it changed my life, definitely.
Wow. All
Yeah.
right. Excellent. Well, thank you so much. Thanks for coming on the podcast, the Instagram Live, and thanks for sharing
Oh,
your sad experience, which has become an inspiring one for and a helpful one for so many other people. So very selfless of you to do.
thank thank you so much for having me on, and I look forward to seeing you on when you come back to Good Day LA.
Yes, that'd be great. Okay. Bye, Maria.
Bye.
Bye. Okay. Um, okay, thank you to everybody for tuning in. Again, that was Maria Whitesell, Maria Quiban Whitesell. You can't do this alone. I hope you guys have a great night, and I'll see you tomorrow.